Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, I'm Alex and this is the Ramble. And yeah, we go until midnight tonight in New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. Oh, that's Steve Kravitz. We love him. We watch him talk to us, and we talk every couple of weeks. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah? Lowe's is treating you well?
I can't complain about it. It's a job.
Do they give you more and more stuff to do, or are you working more?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And I got a raise. I got a little raise.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me guess how much. All right. It's per hour, right? Is the raise?
Right.
25 cents.
38.
Oh, good. Okay. We're in the money.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how many hours a week do you work?
Oh, around 14.
14 hours a week at 38 cents. Makes them around $5 more a week.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm rolling in the money, Alex.
Hey, listen, why don't you send some my way? I could use it.
Why don't you send some my way? I could use it.
Well, I do have some.
Right. I have none.
I have enough money to live on if I live to be 100.
Is that right?
And I don't eat. That is.
Don't you get food stamps?
No, what? No. Although I wonder if we can get food stamps once. Marjorie's still making a slight stipend from her former company, which,
is that right?
Which goes away in a year, exactly a year from now. But once that's gone, I wonder if we are eligible for food stamps. I mean, we should take advantage of all that crap. Why not?
Right, why not?
Were you doing food stamps for a while?
Yes.
Yes? And do they work well?
Yes.
Really? How does it work? I have no idea how food stamps work.
You get like a debit card, and you just swipe it at the grocery store.
And they take off certain items that are covered under the food stamps, right?
Right. Certain items are covered, certain items aren't.
In other words, you can't buy chewing gum, okay?
No.
Right? But you
can't buy prepared meals.
Prepared meals, like what do you describe as prepared meals? You mean?
Well, like a sandwich.
Oh, okay. In other words, stuff that's ready to go and ready to eat, right?
Right.
But if it's in a package at the store and it's frozen or whatever, you can buy that, right?
And you can buy sushi.
Sushi is covered.
Yes.
Wow, see, that's so civilized. Because we buy a lot of our foods from Stu Leonard's by Instacart because they're all the way up in Connecticut, and they have the best sushi. If you eat it that day,
right,
it's delicious. And then they have lobster rolls.
Oh, really?
Yes, and they're really good lobster rolls. I mean, there's good meaty lobster in the lobster rolls. That's expensive though. It's about $30 for 3 of them.
Is that right?
Yeah. But the sushi's up to $10 a piece. So, it's...
Yeah, where I am, it's between $7 and $10, depending on what you get.
Well, I imagine sushi would be covered under food stamps because it is food. It is nourishing food.
Right.
Fish is quite nourishing to you. You got the little avocado in there and the little tuna
right,
and the rice. It probably matters what the food is and what it's
right,
comprised of.
Right.
All right. So last time we were talking about the clubs in San Francisco. You said you never worked the other cafe.
Right.
Why didn't you ever work the other cafe?
I didn't get along with, what was it, Bob Ayers and Chip Romer?
Mm-hmm.
Is that who that was?
Yeah. I never got along with them either.
I just didn't get along with them.
Yeah, but because I had that damn radio show, they kept trying to kiss my ass. So
No, me neither. I hung out at the Holy City Zoo.
the Holy City Zoo. Let's explain the Holy City Zoo.
It's had 74 people.
If you went into the Holy City Zoo and wanted to change your mind, you had to go outdoors.
Good night. We'll be here all week.
Yeah. It was 74 people?
Right.
I worked on that stage once, okay, because I worked a lot of the stages in that town, you know,
Right.
hosting shows and so on. And I went on to that stage, and there were like 5 people in the front row, and I panicked.
Oh, really?
Well, here's the thing. People said, how can you panic when there are 5 people in the front row? And I said, and they said, but then you go down to, I don't know, Stamford Theater down there, the amphitheater, Frost Amphitheater. And you're in front of 9,000 people and you don't panic?
Right.
And they said, no. And they said, why? And I said, a big difference between a small number of people in a room
Right.
and 9,000 people, which is just like this sea of people. You know, it's like a painting out there.
Right.
And at the Holy City Zoo, you always felt that somebody from the front row could jump at you on stage. I mean, if you weren't being funny enough.
I saw a preacher jump on an audience member.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? He must have really been drunk.
It was too funny. It was too funny.
That was when he was drinking, I suppose.
Yes.
Yes. But it was amazing to me, the size of that place, but it created more comedy talent than anything. You started at the Holy City Zoo and you worked your way up. The ultimate
To the punchline.
The punchline was the ultimate to play.
Right, at that point.
But you had to have a place to start because they weren't going to put you up at the punchline. Maybe they had an open mic night on Mondays, but it was always structured. Hey, what else have you done? Okay,
Right,
now you can
right,
do
right.
open night mic here. So, but there it was like open mic for everybody, and
You just had to sign up.
and stay awake long enough.
Right.
You know, like what was the latest you ever went on at the Holy City Zoo?
Well, probably closing time, probably around 2.
Yeah. And if you got better and better and better, they put you on earlier, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was the club. It was the club where people learned how to be comics
Right.
and how to develop material. And
It was magical.
describe why it was magical, because you see, I
just
never worked that club as a comedian. I've been there, I worked that stage, but I never worked it as a comedian.
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't know. There was something living in the walls. There was something just magical about it. I can't explain it. It was just magic.
yeah, I mean, there was a little Robin Williams there, and there was a little bit of Dana Carvey there, all these various
Right.
people who had ever worked there.
Right.
And what did you get paid at the Holy City Zoo?
I don't know if he got paid.
I don't think you did.
Not for the open mic nights. If you got the weekend, you got paid a little bit of stipends.
Yeah.
Stipend.
Weekends they would have a lineup
Right.
of people that people wanted to go see.
Right.
And usually it was like, Steve Kravitz probably made that, right? Where you worked
Right.
a weekend.
Oh, sure. I headlined the zoo.
Yeah. Oh, I got to stop my watch from ringing. Yeah.
Eventually, I headlined the punchline.
Did you headline the punchline?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. That must have been a thrill for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But because I never remembered you as particularly as a headliner.
Right.
I remember you as a middle act.
Right.
Would you say I'm right in thinking that?
No, I got to be a headliner.
Really?
Eventually, I got to be a headliner.
Yeah. Did I help?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good.
Absolutely. Because I could do your show, and your show, I would pack the place if I did your show.
So
if I plugged the gigs on your show, it would pack the place.
Do you think these clubs hired you or anybody Because you'd come on my show and plug it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They'd ask you to do that.
Well, I know.
I can remember playing foo bars and being driven in to do the show.
Foo Bars was where?
Oh, where was foo bars? It moved.
It moved?
I can't remember where it was.
I don't remember where Foo Bars was either. It was in South Bay, maybe?
No, East Bay,
East Bay.
like Walnut Creek area,
Hmm.
somewhere around there.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, and also you had these clubs surrounding San Francisco. You had Rooster T. Feathers in the South Bay. You had Tommy T's in San Leandro, and then later
Right.
on it was in Walnut Creek. Yeah.
The Punchline was in Walnut Creek,
The Punchline was definitely in Walnut Creek.
and they were in Sacramento. And then there was Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento. That was my first road gig.
Oh, okay. I never heard of Laughs Unlimited. Was it around a long time or?
Oh yeah, I think it's still around.
Oh, really?
I think so.
God, I never heard anybody come on my show and say, "And I'm going to be at Laughs Unlimited."
Well, that's because they were probably out in Sacramento. It was like a road gig. You'd go out there and stay for the week.
Oh, okay.
You know, it wasn't like Walnut Creek where you commuted from your home in San Francisco.
Yeah. Where was it again?
What's that?
Laughs Unlimited.
It was in Old Sacramento.
Old Sacramento. Okay, that was far enough that they'd have to
Put you up.
put you up. Yeah.
Right.
Or drive you in to do my show.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Foo Bars did.
Yeah. But the Holy City Zoo was just a very important club. When it closed down, I mourned it, and I never played there.
Right.
But I knew that all the comics that I had on the show at one time or another had started at the Holy City Zoo.
Right. Right.
And you were allowed to be not
Bad.
good. You were allowed to
No,
yes,
you were allowed to be bad.
exactly.
And you could still get on the next night. You could bomb on Monday and still get on Tuesday.
Yeah.
As you were learning the craft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had no material when I first started.
Yep.
I just did all audience work.
Here's the other guys.
What happened? All of a sudden, Echo decides to say something to me.
What did it say?
I don't know. No, I don't want anything. Hold on a second. Let me just turn this thing off. Come on. Stop it. Stop it. I can't stop it. It won't stop. Huh. Where's the on-off switch? I can't even find the on-off switch here. Okay, so I press this, and it's... Oh, well. I don't want that. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I don't want it. Okay. Power off. Okay, yeah. Power off. Okay.
You figured it out?
Yeah. I hate it when it does it when I'm trying to do something here.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, also my screen is flashing at me. What's all? Yeah, it's one thing or another. I'm tired of all this technology, Stephen.
Well, I don't have to deal with it. I just have to click on the link, and here I am.
Well, here's what happens. In my line of work, not your line of work, you get up on a stage. If the mic's working, you're ready to go. Okay, you just
That's
stand
right.
there, you do your act, you leave.
Even if the mic's not working, you can still do your act.
Exactly. In my business, there's a whole bunch of technology between you and the final product.
That's right.
Okay, so all this stuff has to work.
Right. And it has to work correctly.
It has to work correctly. Exactly. If any part in that link goes out, you're screwed. So the you being able to do your craft is dependent upon all these technological things working.
Right.
So I am at the mercy of the technology in order to do my craft.
That's right.
I imagine, you do television, it's really got to be terrible. I mean, I have enough problems here with just video. going out in a very small on a very small basis.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, wow. When you do films.
Hmm?
When you do films.
When you do film, always. There. Oh, what happened? All of a sudden my screen went blank. What is going on here today? Anyway.
Are we recording?
Huh?
Are we recording?
Yeah, we're recording. Okay, don't worry about that. So anyway, so what I'm saying is the technology is a real problem for me because everything I do is dependent on that technology working.
Right.
And working perfectly.
Right.
You know.
No glitches.
Huh? No glitches. Right. So
Didn't we have a glitch at one point? Wasn't there a couple of months back there was a glitch?
A glitch? Of what sort?
Like you would flicker.
I don't remember. But,
I think so. I think that happened maybe last year. Maybe that was last year.
There's nothing wrong here except that the screen is flashing every now and then. I don't know why. Probably I'll reboot the machine, everything will be fine.
Right.
You know. But all I'm saying is there's too much technology between me and doing my thing. And plus, I'm doing it all. So that when
you're the engineer.
When something goes wrong, I have to take care of it, and we're talking, and I have to take care of it.
Right, you're the engineer as well as the personality.
Yeah, I'm everything.
Right.
You know,
you're the producer, you're the director, you're the engineer.
Yeah. So I mean, I will agree with anybody who wants to say, well, you have less problems with what you're doing because you're handling all the stuff and you can take care of it, but it also means that my brain has to be going two ways. I have to be thinking about the technological end, and I have to think about you and I talking to each other.
Right. You have to multitask.
Yeah. And that's why when I was in this business, when I would work a studio, a station, a place like Sirius XM, I would walk into the studio and I would look at everything, the control board, how the control board worked, what things you had to flip to make this work and that work, in spite of the fact that I never needed to do it because I had a guy running the control board.
Right.
And I had somebody answering the phones for me. So all I had to do, had to be concerned with was doing a show.
Right, was talking.
But I felt I needed to know how that process was being done by everybody else. So if something went wrong, I could say, hey, is this working or is that working?
Right.
You know.
Well, in the early days of radio, when I was a disc jockey, I had to have somebody who was licensed engineer.
Well, that was an interesting thing. When I first started in this business, I could only work radio stations that were called third-class radio stations. In other words, they didn't have transmitters over about 5,000 watts, you know, and they couldn't be directional. And then I could work on what they called a third-class restricted license. Okay. And how you got those is you went down to the FCC. All of a sudden, my thing went blank again. Boy, this is strange today. Anyway, it's not affecting the program at all. I went down to, where was it? You go down to the FCC. They say, I want a third-class restricted license. And they say, okay, here it is. And you had to write in your name and sign it.
Right.
You know, and cut it out on a piece of cardboard and put it in your pocket, and that was your license.
Right.
But I couldn't operate anything over a certain amount of power. So if I wanted to go to work for another station that had a higher power, and I didn't have that license, I might not get the job.
Right.
So I decided I didn't want to get the license. You could go and cram for these licenses. Okay, they had these cram tests that you could. $300. They'll send you all the books and stuff, and you read them, and they test you, and then they send you down there, and you get it, but you don't know a goddamn thing. You just wrote answers.
Right.
Right. So I decided I'm not going to get one, and somebody said, why? I said, if I go to a radio station, they really want me, and I don't have a license, they're going to have somebody on staff who's got a license.
Right.
If they truly want me. If they don't want me, if it's just like, well, let's see if he's okay, then screw that. So I went through my career without having anything else but a third-class restricted license. And I got the jobs. They made sure there was somebody there to read the meters and to run the transmitter and everything like that, right? And usually I worked days. I didn't work late nights or whatever, and there was always a reason why somebody had to be there. So I never had a problem getting a job because I didn't have a first-class license, as an example. And with the guy who worked overnight, they wanted him to have a first-class license because they didn't want to have anybody there to run the transmitter.
Right.
And this was all about running the transmitter, folks. It had nothing to do with your talent. Had nothing to do with anything else but running that transmitter and taking.
Right. They weren't on air. They weren't on air personalities. They were in the work in the technology side.
And you had to take a reading every half hour.
I didn't know that.
You had to go up to the thing with all the dials and all of that and all the meters and stuff, and then write down what the stuff was. Now, I didn't know what I was writing down. I just knew it was a process, and I did that. And you did it every half hour. And sometimes you'd forget, and you wouldn't do it for about 3 hours, and then you'd sit there making them up.
Right.
But if the FCC walked in and saw that you hadn't filled it out during the last half hour, you were in a lot of trouble. So
right.
The FCC never walked in. I can't remember. They always said, if you don't do this and you don't do that right, the FCC will be here. They may drop by and a spot inspection, and then you'll be all screwed. I never in my entire life saw a member of the FCC or a staff member of the FCC come into my stations.
Right.
Never. And then they always said, if that swear word got over the air, we're going to lose our license. That was a lie, too. Up to that point, nobody had lost their license that way in the history of broadcasting.
Is that right?
Yes. They might write you a letter and say, we heard the word fuck went over the air. What do you have to say about that? And then the guy says, well, we were running a 57-second delay, but somebody forgot to push the button. Okay, fine, thank you. That's your excuse. But then we found out something else is that you didn't have to have a 7-second delay.
I thought it was a 5-second delay.
Well,
7 seconds?
The reason they called it a 7-second delay was here's a little history, folks, you never knew about the radio business. How they would do a 7-second delay is they would have 2 Ampex tape recorders next to each other. And then they would simply run a tape through one of them, but then they would run the tape from this machine onto the reel of the other machine. So it had to go through both machines. And by the time the tape got from machine 1 to machine 2 was 7 seconds. Okay? You getting me on this one?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. And so that one was the one that went out over the air. So they would hear you going out over the air. It went down to 5 seconds because they found a way to do it on one machine by reversing the recording in playheads.
There'd be a dead spot in the broadcast.
You would just either blank it out, or we had a little thing you could push, and it would go and play a what do you call it?
A beep.
Yeah, a beep, or it would blank it out, or whatever.
Right.
So that's But anyway, so that was the history of the 7-second delay. And then they went to digital delay. With the digital delay, you just hit it, and the digital delay would go to real time. And then over 7 seconds, every time you paused or whatever, it would catch up until it did 7 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the wonderful history of censorship, folks. It was You know, how many millions of dollars the broadcast industry spend in order not to let the word fuck go out over the air?
Right. Right.
Silly, huh? I mean, really silly. But
Well, I still don't swear on your show.
you don't swear here, no.
No. Very rarely. Very rarely.
And you can. I just did.
Right.
You know. But now they have machines listening to me to see if we say it. Hey, listen, I just saw we've run out of time. Are you
Is
ready
that
for
right?
that? That's it for us, folks. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Alex.
Good seeing you again.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yes, talk like you never heard it before. Yeah, okay, all right, okay, yeah. Let me see here. I should get myself centered here. I have a little problem here of being centered, of not being centered, of something. Hold on. There we go. There we are. Is that it? Okay. All right. Let me see here. That's good. All right. Wait a minute. I got to do something. Because you can see the edge of my thing there. Okay. Now we're okay. Anyway. Hey, how are you? Hey, nobody's calling tonight. You know something? I could just close this thing down now. I don't have to do anything. You know? Nobody's calling me. So I'll give it a couple of minutes, and if nobody calls, we'll just call it a day or night or something here. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm trying to think, do I have anything I want to talk about? And I don't have anything to talk about. So I guess I won't talk about anything. Is there a reason why nobody's calling tonight? Did I do something horrible all of a sudden? I don't know. Anyway, so let me see here. I really don't have anything. I was paying attention, trying to pay attention to the news, and I just can't pay attention to the news anymore. It just so bores me. The amount of time that is spent on these various networks, especially MSNBC, really just belaboring subjects over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, anyway. Well, doesn't look like anybody's going to call tonight. And this is going out, is it not? Yes, it absolutely is going out. Let me just make sure that the video is going out here. Wait a minute. Let me see. Let me just do that. Yeah, the video's going out. The audio's going out. Everything's going out, and nobody's calling. Well, that's it for me tonight, folks. I could sit here and I could just talk. And then maybe one or two people would call, but I'm just saying to hell with it, you know. Is there a problem at all? Let me just see here. Let me see. Well, no, there's nothing on the chat. Nobody's doing anything on the chat. That's amazing. And I do know, I see the picture. It's going out. So, I don't know. I don't know what the problem is, but we're not getting any calls from anybody. Could somebody try calling just so I could see if there's nothing wrong here? I don't know. Anybody out there? I'll just type in here. Anybody out there? Let me see here. Oops. There. There we go. Anybody out there? And nobody seems to be replying. Well, I'm amazed. I do know that it's all going out. There have been some drop frames tonight. What is that? The reason for that? Is there some problem out there? No, I don't see anything that looks like it. Well, that's it. You know, I have no reason to keep going on with this thing unless I get some people calling. But if there's a problem, oh, there we go. Anybody out there? Hey, from Corn Patch, Rod. Just got okay. Scott. Yeah. All right. Oh, there are some people out there on the chat. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. This could be it, folks. This could be the night in which I say, "Hey, what am I doing this for?" Let's see. Yo, yeah, it says people are out there. And are you getting? By the way, are the people in the chat? Are you seeing a video and hearing a video? Okay, is that okay? I just want to make sure that it's all right. Logging on now, says Brian Bravo. What? Yeah, hold on, Brian Bravo. Let me see here. Well, nobody's calling. That's really something. That's really something. Well, maybe Thursday nights is just not a good night. Is there something happening out there that I don't know about? No, I don't think so. Well, here comes Brian Neary. Hello. Okay. All right. It's just you and me, Brian. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. He's got to come in here. Brian, there we go. There's Brian. Okay. All right. And he should be with us any second now.
All right.
Hey, wait a minute. Okay, Brian. Hello, Brian.
We'll torture everybody with just you and I on the show.
Just you and I. Hell with anybody else. From here on, if they couldn't call after 7 after the hour, they don't get on. Mike Chisholm wrote me and said, Jay sent me... Oh, I see. Okay. All right. That's something else. Has nothing to do with this. So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay.
Now that seemed to have a little hesitation.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been working in Lodi for we built that factory a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think last April we actually opened it up, and we made an announcement that we're going to be closing the Sunnyvale headquarters. So that's where I started, like almost 19 years ago. So,
but you kind of outgrown that, right?
Yeah, and it's in the middle of Silicon Valley, and Google bought the land, and so we have a lease, but we're moving. We built that big building in Lodi, and now we got some new machines up there. We custom make all our own machines, so we have those machines, and now we just finally. And I've known for a while. But
probably you should tell our audience to a certain extent what it is exactly you do. I mean, what your company does.
We make PCR tests for infectious disease.
They make that. Those are actually containers for Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh, yeah. We put the sample in here and put it in an instrument, and it does all the mixing and the PCR, So now we're coming out of the COVID stuff, and we have a window of opportunity to move a lot of the stuff up to Lodi now, up to the new, it's the gem of our company now. So I was employee like 75, and now we're global, so it's pretty crazy.
So is the company doing well?
Yes, even coming out of COVID, doing well is just surviving. We're getting back to all the stuff that we used to build before COVID. So flu was always our biggest season.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that coming up again, and about 3 or 4 months.
Well, every time I catch the flu, just know I'm thinking of you and trying to give you business.
Good. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of stuff that we test for, even HIV, HPV, and stuff like that. And then we started actually with anthrax after 9/11. So before I started with the company, they were doing biothreat out of other containers. And then 9/11 happened. The 3 congressmen got the anthrax letters in the mail,
Mm-hmm.
and we partnered up with Northrop Grumman. So we still do, test air samples of the post office every half hour for anthrax for
How do we know that you aren't sending out those anthrax letters?
No, because it's not worth it for us. But yeah, so then we had a new CEO group came on right when I started, and they started saying, they said infectious disease where we're going to make the money, and they started doing that, and then yeah, we've been pretty
Hey,
successful.
let me ask you a question about that. The anthrax letters, because most times it's talcum powder, right?
Yeah, it's going through our stuff, so it's bogus stuff, like the stuff that just got sent like last couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This guy Bragg here in New York, the DA, he's getting a lot of those letters.
Yeah, if it's going through the U.S. mail, it'll get caught by our stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, does it say? Does it notice talcum powder?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
But a lot of times this isn't. They say it's a powder, but it would turned out not to be anthrax.
Yeah, and then our stuff, we were allowed so many false positives when we signed a contract with them, and we have never had a false positive, and we've done, maybe 15 million
amazing.
cartridges, I think. So
You should have some false positives, right?
no, not in the field, not in the post office field for sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, Jeff.
Do you still have a facility on the East Coast?
No, we only have manufacturing in the West Coast. We have Chicago. They have some departments over there, but no manufacturing. So, yeah, since I was
Does
in
your
charge,
company do the testing or just make the testing materials?
Nope. Yeah, we make everything. So we make the disposable cartridge, we make the instrument that it goes in, and we make all the chemicals that go inside. So we purchased a couple companies, and the plastics, all the plastics we make too. So I've been there 19 years. Over the last 10, 12 years, we purchased a couple big companies to help us out with any sourcing.
So your company's been in business for quite a while now.
Yeah, like 25 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you ever?
And the guys were really smart how they made these, because inside there are all these chambers, and each chamber does something unique. And it instead of the doctors mixing all their stuff, doing sample prep outside, and then pouring all that stuff into something to detect it, our stuff, you just put the sample in, you break it off, and it does everything. There's a little container, there's a little syringe in there that takes all the fluid, brings it to another chamber, goes back and forth, brings it to another chamber, takes your sample, and then it goes through this little diamond here.
You sent me one of those, and I've never opened it up to see what was inside.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Is there stuff already in there?
They're dried chemicals. They're just buffers and probes, and then the liquid is just a buffer. It's harmless. But so what we do, I mean, it's like magic. But what we do is we take the DNA. So if you take a sample, when it goes in there, all the mixing takes your DNA and splits your DNA, and we try to glue it back about 3 million, 4 million times. And then we detect it in that little window. And if we see it, then we know you have whatever we're checking.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. It's like electricity. Just turn it on.
Look who's here. Look who's here.
Oh, secret message. Yes. What's the secret? Ask Alex if you can.
No.
Yes. Go.
What was she whispering?
She wants a candy and a yogurt drink. So I know she just had a sandwich. So
she can
see what responsibilities you were left out of, Alex, all the time to make sure that they have food.
Well, sometimes I miss not having had children.
Yeah, but I was 48 when I had Adrian, and I was like back and forth, but I was having too much fun, and I know I didn't want to be with somebody, and so.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I could see doing it. I mean, after all, the woman gives birth to the baby, and then she nurses the baby, and I'll just, I just tell her I'll come back in 5 years, and I'll then play with the kid.
Yeah, but like you said, you couldn't have had a career like you had if you would have had children.
But what I've heard, and tell me this isn't true, that the wonderful thing is now that she's the age she is, you can have more of a friendship relationship with her. You can have more of an ongoing relationship with her.
Yeah, actually, I'm getting to the point where the stories, I'm starting to tell a lot of stories about me growing up and stuff like that because you think you tell them and they don't remember. I don't like you've asked me a couple times. I don't remember how far back. I don't remember how young I was till I started remembering. But with her now, I can tell she's starting to remember. I mean, she's 7, but like the stories to tell her these stories, to pass on some of the stories about my life because. And like her, she's named after my mom who passed away when I was 13. So,
Yeah.
so we've gone to the funeral site, where she's a mausoleum. So she's seen her name up there, which is pretty weird, but,
Yeah.
so she's understanding a lot of that stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's just that there's more. You can have more of a relationship with the kid on kind of not an adult basis, but kind of like an adult basis. You can have conversations with them and so on.
yes. And I mean, Jeff will know too. Like, then they start talking words and stuff like that. And you're like, well, where did you learn all this stuff? They absorb so much at that young age.
Yeah, and they learn too many words.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff.
I think a lot of girls like to have the real tight relationship with their dads.
Yeah.
Do you think the girls who are born into a family bond better with the dad than the mother? Why is that?
Yeah.
You would think it would be the other way around.
Exactly. And when we found out that it was going to be a girl, you sort of, oh man, I thought I wanted a boy to go the car stuff and all that stuff. And then everybody told me, like Jeff said, if you're a man and you have a girl, it's a tighter bond than you would with a boy. And you don't think that until you've had kids.
But I just figured it out. The reason they enjoy dealing with their fathers as opposed to their mothers is they're practicing wrapping guys around their fingers.
Yeah, getting everything from them.
Yeah.
Sucking them dry.
It takes until they're 3rd-year-old. Then they can do it.
Yeah. Hello, Tony.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
I'm enjoying the conversation. Yeah, that is true. Because I was closer to my mother than my father. My father, if I complained, he used to say, go ask your mother.
I was actually closer to my father than my mother.
Really?
Yeah.
You said that, yeah.
Well, I
was close to both of them, but I was around my mom more.
My father was very smart, and he's very funny. He had all the things that I really needed as a kid. And my mother, kind of a dope. Not too bright.
Did your mom work, Alex?
Yeah, my mom worked. Yeah, she worked. Well, I mean, for a while there, she just raised me. That was what mothers did in those days. And then when I was going to school and everything, and she felt she could go out and have a job, she went and got a job with the Variety Artists Union. That's the how can I describe it? The AGVA, which was the American Guild of Variety Artists. And these are people who tap dance, and juggle. Oh. And as her boss used to like to say, he said to me once, he said, how would you like to belong to a union where your president is a ventriloquist? But that's what they did. They was American Guild of Variety Artists, and she ran that office for quite a few years. And my father went into real estate because music wasn't a business anymore for a violinist.
Oh, really? How old were you then?
What happened was when the 50s hit, combos came in. In other words, if you had a nightclub, you didn't hire an orchestra, you hired a combo. Or first you'd hire a band. Well, the difference between a band and an orchestra? Orchestras have strings. Bands don't. Okay? They have horns, they have drums, they have all of that, but they don't have strings. So really, when music kind of cheapened a bit, in the 50s, my father found it hard to find work. I mean, there just weren't a lot of jobs for musicians, so for violinists. So consequently, he then found another career selling real estate. And I don't know if he was a good real estate salesman or not. I think he was kind of just so-so. But it was enough to put food on the table. But
do you ever think about taking a different instrument?
Huh?
Try a different instrument.
That's not really, if you're a violinist, it's not like you can suddenly turn around and learn how to play a trumpet.
I understand that. But
Yeah.
guitars were very popular.
Yeah, but that isn't you can't learn that. You know, if you play a violin, you're playing a pretty one-dimensional instrument. I mean, it doesn't. If you play a trumpet, maybe you could play a tuba, or you could play some other brass instrument.
Yeah.
But stringed instruments, you know, guitar is a whole different thing than a violin. You know, and it was very difficult for him at that point. You know, but it's kind of the first time I saw in my life that one business replaced another. You know, and just like I'm seeing with radio now, there's no radio left. Come on, it's just these fucking podcasts. You know, any weasel can do a podcast. That's why I hesitate to call this a podcast, because I don't. Podcasts are cheap. They really are. They're bad radio. And I don't care if maybe, I have a podcast I love listening to. It's about this person who murdered somebody else in the Midwest and the whole story.
Oh, my sister watches.
You know, that kind of crap. You know. Hey, I could tell you some stories that would curl your hair, but I'm not about ready to.
What do you mean? Like what kind of stories?
Huh?
What kind of stories? Like on the podcast?
Oh, because I know a lot more than has ever been reported about the Manson killings with Sharon Tate. Oh yeah,
I'm fascinated. I read a book on that by Tom O'Neill.
And I knew, I've known that. I've held on to that story.
Really?
I've
held
on to that.
I mean, not on, yeah.
I've held on to that story for the last 40 years, something like that.
Can you write it down in an envelope and say to Brian Neary?
You never know. Listening.
Nobody will believe it. At least we'll know it.
Well, I could privately tell you, but I will not do it publicly because
No, I wouldn't even. Are you crazy?
Because
I'm gonna write that down. So when I'm in New York, I want that story.
Because there was.
You know what I was reading, Alex? I read the book.
I'm trying to say something.
I was going to tell you about that since you mentioned Manson. I read the book, Alex, by I think it's Tom O'Neill, called "Use Chaos," and you know what he alluded to in the book? You don't have to answer it. Who was the one, the coffee heiress? Was that Abigail Folger? They were saying that the guy she was dating was a drug dealer, he was saying, pretty much. That's what he was saying. I don't know the whole thing. Mm-hmm. That's the coffee I got. I got it for $9. I didn't know she was the coffee heiress. I actually did. I was like, oh shit, now that you said that, I wonder if the family still owns that company. Folgers.
Oh, your volume's really loud.
Oh, it is? I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know, so are we. God, what I love is I can beat up on him like crazy, and he can take a punch.
Who's that?
You.
You got me thinking now on that thing now. Oh boy. Fascinating.
Yeah. So anyway, no, but I won't even allude to what the story's about. But
is that because you knew people like from
I knew
radio
people.
stuff, sort of, or
I knew people.
Yeah.
Actually, what I heard, I got through a guy by the name of Michael O'Donoghue, who's been dead for years now. He used to write for the National Lampoon and was one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live. And he had a girlfriend who was somehow involved in the news. And he told me some stories that, you know, and said, and then I knew this particular story. And there was a guy by the name of Ed Sanders. Ed Sanders, one of the members of the Fugs.
Yeah, the Fugs, yeah.
And Ed Sanders wrote a book called The Family about Manson and about the Manson family and the whole thing, right? And I had him on one night, and during a break, I just wanted to find out if I had heard anything that was close to the truth.
Oh, wow.
And I mentioned it to him. This is off the air. And he said, "How did you know that?"
Oh shit! You know, then you are.
And
on the
I
right
said
track.
I got it from somebody who was involved in reporting the story, and he said, yes, everything you heard was absolutely true.
Wow.
He said, but I didn't. I said, why didn't you put it in the book? He said, anybody who releases that information will get themselves killed.
Holy moly!
So I've kept it a secret. And the only time I may reveal it is when I know I'm
Yeah.
dying. You know, when I'm.
Oh God! Don't do it. He covered the case, I think, at the courthouse. I think Ed. I was reading on it. He was at the courthouse. I
don't think Ed was. I don't think so. No.
I remember him in an interview saying and I watched an old interview. I think it might have been Dick Cavett, and he said he was at the. I think he said he was at the courthouse. I don't know who he was writing for at the time. He was covering that case.
Well, he wasn't really a journalist. He just
was he? I was going to ask you, was he a newspaper man? I wasn't
No.
sure what he was.
He was one of the thugs. He was a poet.
Yeah, he was a poet, but then he went into writing. Though, like, was he like a reporter then, or
He went into writing a book called The Family, which is, I think, maybe one of the best books about the Manson family.
Yeah, that's supposed to be good. I didn't read it yet, but I'm a little bit.
But there's more to that story than has ever.
Yeah,
been
you got my
reported.
curiosity now because I read the other stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or don't say, yeah, I'm scared. I got goosebumps.
Yeah. So, but, the funny part is if I decided I'd do that as a podcast,
Oh, that'd be gold, Alex.
that'd be gold. It'd be an hour long.
Oh my God! I would just love to know the
Be,
story.
be an hour long, and
for a week.
then I'd wind up with my brains blown out.
Oh, yeah, no, you can't let it
You know,
out.
I
I've got my curiosity.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of what it could be. He probably knows a lot. Yeah. Something doesn't add up there. That whole story it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, it's Well, I won't go any further.
Yeah, don't go.
No, it's interesting though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny what you said though, Alex. I don't want to bring it. He never was even at the house, Manson, and he got. I mean, we know he was crazy, yeah, but he was never even there, like doing it, and they put him away.
Well, I mean, he sent the people there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
That had to be fabricated. Yeah.
Huh?
Well, you were right too. Bubalossi was sketchy too. It looked like he was selling something almost.
Well, Bugliosi may have known something he didn't want to.
Yeah, I didn't trust that guy for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's so long ago now. I mean,
yeah, it's just a fascinating story. There's a lot of things to it.
It was so long ago that to suddenly say, okay, it's now time for us to tell the story, it's probably the time to tell the story, but it's still a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be still people alive, right? Yeah, Polanski's still alive.
Well, Polanski's still alive, yeah, but he wasn't even there when it happened.
He wasn't even there. He was shooting that movie overseas, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a great director, even though he's so crazy.
I always hated what they did to Polanski. I mean, yeah, whatever he did wasn't right, but on the other hand, Jesus, what he went through emotionally. I mean, he and Sharon Tate really loved each other. They had a very close, wonderful relationship, and there was a baby coming. And then his wife gets murdered. The baby gets ripped out of her belly. I mean, imagine just going through something like that. That's got to make you a little wacky.
I mean, he had a lose. I mean, how can you just to cover that? I mean, just to be a cop on that.
And
scene,
the girl who he had sex with, I'm trying to remember her name now.
Google.
She even said, "Hey, it didn't scar me for life, and I forgive him, so you should forgive him." And she said that to a judge when he was trying to get back in this country. And the only way they'll let him back in the country if he admits he did something wrong, and then they'll let him off the hook. But the last time they said that, he was told that if you say you did it, we'll just let you get off with a slap on the wrist, okay? So he admitted to it, and they threw him in jail. They lied to him. So he went to Europe, and he won't come back if somebody says to him, well, if you just admit you did it, we'll forgive it, but we won't forgive the sentence until you admit it.
And how old is he now?
Oh, gee.
I just looked. He's 89.
Hold on a second. He's 89.
89? Jeez.
Yeah. And Alex, what a great movie. Rosemary's Baby and Chinatown is a classic. My brother was
Chinatown
watching it.
is.
Oh, that's such a great movie. I didn't remember it.
But
He cuts his nose, remember?
yeah.
It was a
But,
great movie.
I mean, he's great, and I think it's a shame he's never been able to come back here. But he did win an Academy Award for Best Director while in Europe.
Yeah, The Pianist, I think, right?
Pianist, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good movie too with Adrian Brody. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a great director.
Yeah, he really is phenomenal. That Rosemary's Baby. Every time I watch that still, I'm still scared of that movie. It's so good.
Did you ever see The Fearless Vampire Killers?
I didn't see it. I'm looking at it. 1967. Any good?
It's weird.
I'm gonna have to watch. I just see it. 1960s. I never seen it. I'm gonna have to check this
Yeah,
out.
no, it's weird.
With comedy, it's saying, Alex.
Huh?
I'm gonna have to. Let me write this.
Sharon Tate was in it.
Yeah, Sharon Tate was in it. Who's this other guy? Jack McGowan.
McGowan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Polanski was in it.
Oh yeah, you're right. I thought he was just a director.
Well,
yeah, Alfred he plays.
of course,
oh wow, I'm gonna.
He's also in Chinatown too.
What was he the guy by the policeman, Alex, or no? Who did he play again?
He's the guy that cuts off.
Oh, he was the guy who cut the nose.
Yeah. Hey, kitty cat. Hey, kitty cat.
That is a great movie. Yeah.
You like sticking your nose in other people's business, kitty cat? Yeah.
I gotta watch that again.
That's a great movie. I love it.
That
The more we
won Best
talk about
Picture.
it, the more I love that movie.
Yeah, it's so film noirish.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, So, let me see here. What else has happened? What's happening in the news? Anything?
Trump came to New York.
Oh, Trump came
Oh,
to New York.
yeah, my
Did
brother
you
said
have
something
to
was wrong.
remind
What's
us?
going on? Do you know why he was here?
Yeah, he was here because he had to testify.
That's what he was telling me. I was listening to my brother. He's testifying. Okay.
He was getting deposed.
Oh, okay. I wasn't listening to him.
Yeah,
That was
and this other case may even be more trouble for him.
got a
He
whole bunch of
may,
shit.
if the state attorney general, Letitia James is her name, if she manages to get the goods on him, he'll never be
Yeah.
able to do business in the state of New York again.
Well, that would be no loss.
No, and
Thank
he'll have to do it in Florida,
How
and
many
then they
people
can
did
go
he not
bankrupt. What?
How many people did he not pay? When me and my brother were talking, all he does is litigate people.
Wait a minute,
Like Trump, he never, like, he's always in court suing somebody. He's always reneging on paying people with business.
yeah.
It just seems like he leaves everybody with a bad taste. Like, you're always holding the bill with this guy, it looks like.
Well, I would never want to. If I were a lawyer, I would never want to do business with him because
You're never going to get anything
you
with
never
him.
get paid. And then on top of that, you stand a good chance of going to jail. Like, what's his name? Like
Cohen.
Cohen.
I like that they call him the fixer.
Well, I mean, what
It's like
I think is so
movie.
terrible about it is the horrible things that that he has to say, Trump has to say about Cohen, when Cohen went to jail for stuff he did for him.
Yeah, he was only doing what he was told, really.
Huh?
He was only doing what he was like a loyal soldier. I did what you told me to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was no more loyal soldier than
Yeah,
Cohen.
he went the time for him.
In fact, I don't know that in spite of the fact that he's turning tail on Trump, if I like Cohen any more than I would have before, because the guy was pretty well, he was Trump's fixer.
It's almost like I compared it. I was telling this to Phil. It's almost like when they got Gotti because of Sammy the Bull flipped him. So Cohen is his Sammy the Bull.
Well,
Indirectly, like, I'm making it like a movie, like, What do you think, Mo?
okay, I think Trump, and I'm again, folks. I know I don't like Trump. Okay, so to hell with you. I don't like Trump. All right, so we leave it at that. But let's take it just a little step further here. I don't like him, but he is the closest thing to a mobster we have these days.
Yeah.
I mean, he acts like a mobster. He acted like a mobster as president.
Yeah. You had to kiss his ring for everything. Like, I'll send those boats, but you you gotta kiss the ring here a few times.
And he wants everybody to be loyal to him, but he has no loyalty towards anybody else. That's what the amazing part is.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a gang. You're right,
okay.
Alex. That's the epitome of a
Hey,
gangster.
listen, I expect loyalty among people that I know, but I give them loyalty back. All right?
Yeah.
And that's why you're loyal to people, because they're loyal to you. But he's not loyal to anybody. He'll turn on you in a split second. This guy went to jail for Trump.
Yep.
Okay?
And he can't even practice anymore, I don't think.
You know he can't practice anymore.
No, he lost everything.
Well,
And he's suing him for $300 million. I mean, come on.
Yeah, $500 million. Where
You know,
is-
she laughed. Where am I getting?
where's Cohn going to get $500 million?
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull it out of my ass. I mean, really, where's it coming?
Yeah. I mean, maybe he'll get 35 cents for expenses.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's just the whole audacity of him, like the
Yeah.
boldness of it.
Of course, maybe he wants 500,000 because he needs that.
Yeah.
You know? Hello, Charlie.
Hi.
Hi. How's our favorite astrophysicist?
Well, I'm doing pretty good and got done early umpiring, so.
It's amazing, astrophysics, and now you spend your whole time umpiring.
Yep.
Which did you enjoy more, astrophysics or coaching baseball, softball?
I love studying astrophysics. I love teaching astrophysics. I didn't like my professors.
Oh, okay. But when you were teaching, did you try to be better than those professors?
I was better.
Wow.
What did you think about Werner von Braun?
Oh, that's the.
It turns out you talk about the space program. He
Yeah.
built the space program. So,
But he was a Nazi, though, yeah.
yeah, he was a Nazi and he worked for Hitler during the war.
Yeah. But you know what it is? And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Charlie, because I'm going to be talking about perhaps some people you like. And that is, scientists have no morals. They just care about getting the thing done. And that's why I think von Braun was so close to, was so kissing ass with Hitler. He just wanted to get those rockets built. He wanted to get them to go
Exactly,
up.
yeah.
And as a scientist, he had no morality. Does that make sense?
Well,
In
he
the
started
sense
doing
that-
when he was 3 years old.
Huh?
He started learning physics and other things and when he was 3 years old.
Yeah.
Very
But,
smart.
but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, what I'm talking about is that it seems as though sometimes people like that have no morality because all they care about is, I want to build that rocket. I got to get that rocket up in the air. I got to,
Yeah. I think in general, scientists have morality. It's just they don't care about the morality of the person that they're working for.
I think there was a song by Tom Lehrer called Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
And he goes, they go up, they go down, but I don't care where they come down, says Werner von Braun. I mean, and that's really what it was. What I think it was essentially a good way of looking at him. That he
Yeah, there's truth in a lot of humor, and there's definitely truth in that song.
Yeah, but then he came to the United States and he got our space program going, and he did something good for us too.
Yeah.
The problem was that we had for a while there was who got the best scientists after the war. They were all racing to Peenemünde, which was where the rockets were built, to grab the best scientists they could, and it was between us and the Soviet Union.
Yep.
And they got the best scientists. That's why they had the best rockets going up early enough.
That's why they got to space first.
Yeah. But von Braun did a really good job for us. I mean, he got it going okay. So anyway, but this guy is. I often said I would love to just sit here and talk with Charlie one night, do a whole 2 hours with Charlie, because
Hey, don't tempt me with that.
No, because I mean the stuff you're amazing. You're just amazing. And they tried to CIA tried to hire you.
Yeah.
But
I just stumbled through life.
Well, that's not what I call
Come
stumbling.
on, we don't buy that.
We don't buy that. Yeah. What?
Charlie, do you feel like jealous of all the stuff going on now in that field?
In a sense, I
like
still have friends in astronomy, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Yeah,
then
like the stuff we're like talking about the other day, with the web, and all that stuff from 60 Minutes is pretty crazy.
yeah.
I think what would have driven Charlie crazy is the same thing that's driven me crazy over the years. And that is that we went to the moon. We went there about 5 times, I think it was.
Yeah.
Then we didn't go back. What was
I
that all
never
about?
understood why we dropped that.
And we dropped it. And the fact of the matter was that I resented the United States for doing that. I mean, how dare you put all that work into it, and all you turn into is NASA hauling and NASA hauling and shipping up, using the rockets to go up to the space station. I mean, it's just nothing. Just terrible. I mean, and how many years did we waste? I figured once we got to the moon, the future is endless, and we're going to be up there, and we're going to have a place on the moon. We're going to learn how to live there, and then from there, we're going to learn how to go to Mars. And it just stopped.
Swear, I thought we would be in Mars in the 80s.
Oh, I thought we would be there. Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, now we can do it, and it's much easier for us to do it. We have the science to do it.
Yeah.
That we had to, how can I put it? We had to hobble the whole thing together to get people to the moon. So what now we can do is, I mean, I think they're making a big deal about, we've got our astronauts now and whatever, but they could send them up there right now. It's no big deal. We've got the technology to do it. So it just makes me mad that I'm just hoping I live long enough to see us get to the moon again, which I think I will. I think probably we're talking 2024, maybe 2025.
Yeah, we're talking only 2 or 3 years from now we should be back on the moon.
Yeah. But again, what?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and I think also just think of all the technology advances we've made in phones and computers and all that stuff from that point that we stopped the program till now. And now you sort of missed that, even though there's technology going on in different fields, but you really weren't able to concentrate that technology in the space program. And now you're sort of behind, even though technologies continue to advance on, you haven't had all that experience of technology in that field.
Well, also, I don't think back in the, about the time we went to the moon or after we went to the moon, that we had the technology to be able to do, say, what SpaceX is doing, which is a really simple rocket that can get them there. It's not that easy, okay? It's not that easy. And now it is. I mean, am I right? I mean, SpaceX couldn't have existed 30 years ago. I don't think we have the technology to do it that easily,
Mm-hmm.
But now, I mean, they're building. In fact, the problem is that NASA wants to keep going, so they're doing their stuff. But the rocket they're sending people to the moon with is nothing new. It's the old. Correct me if I'm wrong about this, but it's the old shuttle rockets that we're using to send that up. Am I right or wrong about that?
I thought we were going to be using like the same Titan V type engine that we used to launch Apollo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's nothing new. Whereas over at SpaceX, they're a whole different breed of rockets. And they're building huge ones.
Yep.
Now I don't know how it's coming along. We haven't heard anything lately ever since Elon Musk is hunkered down at Twitter. I mean,
They had a report today that Elon Musk has let go 80% of Twitter since he's gone. 80% of that company's gone. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how people juiced up these companies, during COVID time.
Well,
And now,
they may have had too many people to run that thing.
Yeah. That, yeah,
I mean, I noticed that Twitter's still there.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, people are still able to post on Twitter. It hasn't really changed. So if he got rid of 80% of the people, apparently there were people who had their feet up on their desk and were chewing gum.
Exactly. I think a lot of companies were like that, especially during COVID time when they got so much money, and now they start laying people off, and then everybody's freaking out, saying, "Oh my God, everything's crashing." But
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm very happy with I with what SpaceX is doing, but I wish they would do it more, and I wish they would do it faster. They can't do it fast enough for me, because then we can send our old friend Tony up in a rocket.
Oh, yeah, I'm going. I'm scared of rides. So I don't.
You're scared of rides. I
can't even go on any
say to
roller
me that
coasters. They'd have to knock me out to go up there.
People would say you couldn't get me in one of those rockets. And
No way.
And I said
You could. I couldn't.
I would do it in a second.
You're brave. They'd have to knock me out.
I would do it in a second. I don't think there's anything. There is an ever-present possibility of danger.
I don't know what it feels
But
like.
it's not that great a danger anymore. I mean, you got to realize SpaceX has sent up how many rockets? And have there been any problems with them? No, not at all. And then the whole ability to make them land back here. In the beginning they were losing them like crazy. They would topple over and everything else.
Yeah.
Do you know ever since they sent up one that absolutely didn't have any problems, they have never had a problem bringing those rockets back and having them do a landing? That's amazing. That is just amazing. NASA can't do anything like that. They try.
They took the easy road, drop it in the sea where you can just splash and then they go find them.
Well, the easiest job is to have the thing land and then put another bunch of stuff on there and send them back up again. So I've been very happy with SpaceX. I know I don't like Elon Musk. Well, even a stopwatch is right twice a day, so don't feel bad about that. But I notice there is now a bed in that room with you, Brian.
Yes.
What, is your wife making you sleep somewhere else these days?
Sometimes.
Oh, you put a
Are
bed
you
in there.
Doghouse?
Wait a minute.
Not today.
You put a bed in there.
No,
and now Adrian is using it to lie in.
Yeah. So this is
Good answer.
So I have my DJ stuff in here. I have my office in here. She wanted her office in here, so I put a table in here for her office. She never used it. Not Adrian, but Tiffany. And then she kept saying, "Oh, I want to put a bed in there. I want to put a bed in there in case these people come over. And those people never come over."
Yeah.
So I finally caved in. I said, "Okay, now my DJ stuff doesn't fit, so I got to put that downstairs, maybe in the garage. I don't know." So
how many bedrooms do you have in that house?
five bedrooms.
So you don't have enough bedrooms for guests?
No,
Well, wait a minute.
3 kids.
Adrian, Simon, Stephanie, ours, and then the office. Plus 5.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay.
But yeah, I'm ready to kick out Simon pretty soon. 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now so we just got this new bed, and Adrian loves it. So we're getting one for her because she has like the bunk bed sort of. She's up here, and then the bottom was like a play area. So now she wants a grown up bed.
Isn't the idea of bunk beds is you have 2 people sleeping in them, and
Yeah,
not
but-
having one level and then another one to play in? Come on.
Well, that's how they are. So yeah. So she likes this one. So now I'm gonna get it. We just got her one for her room. That should be here tomorrow or something. So I'll set that one up. So
Yeah. So what are you going to do with that bed?
Get it ready for when I'm in the doghouse.
Well,
No, the bad thing was, and she's not here, so I could talk really loud about her. So, so I hated, when they're in the doghouse, I'm like, I'm going in the other room. But I found this with this mattress, this foldable three-piece mattress thing that is so comfortable. So now whenever I'm just like I'm gone, I'm going in the office to sleep. So now she doesn't like it because I'm too comfortable in here with a too comfortable, bed. So now she didn't like that. So now Adrian's taking it over.
Adrian is now dancing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's well. Anyway, so anything else that we haven't covered today that's happening? Of course, Trump is in New York, and by the way, tying up traffic again. I mean, it costs us so much money just having him come to town.
They played this thing today, and I mentioned this like last week or the week before. What they're doing with AI now is they're mimicking celebrity voices. And on CNN, I think it's CNN or somewhere, they had Joe Rogan interviewing Trump. And Trump was speaking too quick because he doesn't talk that fast. He's a little bit slower. But all the other part of Trump's voice and all the part of Joe Rogan's voice, it sounded like they were talking to each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these things are not hard to do, but I don't think. See, what I hate is that all of a sudden something happens, like AI, and then all of a sudden all the news organizations are doing stories about AI and how horrible AI is and how it's going to cause this problem and that problem and so on and so forth. I got to tell you, I mean, there used to be people who just impersonated people's voices who were pretty good at it. I'm so tired of the news people who have no sense of science, who then scare the people in Congress who have even more no sense of science. I mean, I read an article the other day that I think finally needed to be written. Somebody wrote an article about, it's ridiculous, TikTok isn't dangerous. And it gave all the reasons why. That for the most part, it's just, if anything, it shows how stupid America has become that we will watch something like this endlessly. But I've looked at TikTok. I sit on the can. It's a great thing when you're sitting on the can to just flip through TikTok, right? I have yet to see anything that even approaches Chinese propaganda on TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen kiddies playing with string. Endless things of kiddies playing with string, endless things of women twerking, which, what's the harm in that? Unless you get in the way, I mean, am I right, Charlie? I mean, is TikTok really the danger they make it out to be?
I wouldn't think so. I've never done TikTok. So
and what they say is that they have these algorithms and they're going to be able to get data on you and know everything about you. Isn't that called Google? Isn't that called Facebook? Isn't that called YouTube? Huh?
Yeah, I think Facebook's more dangerous because that Facebook is getting groups together that, because of distance and everything else, haven't been able to get together before, and some of those can be dangerous.
But they're not asking Facebook to sell their company because they're getting algorithms and getting data on you.
Yeah.
And that's the stupidity, because you have all these congressmen who know nothing about science, and in fact who are afraid of it.
So speaking of SpaceX, how many total launches do you think SpaceX has done so far?
I'm gonna estimate somewhere around 1,000.
Oh, really? 222 launches.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 184 total.
Because there were a couple of months there where they were doing them every other day.
Yeah, 156 total reflights. So that's recycling their units. That's pretty good. Yeah, they have one, but they do show a lot of them. I mean, they show a lot of stuff going off with SpaceX. They have a big calendar, and every week they're doing something there.
And if you would compare that to NASA,
yeah,
they're hardly doing anything.
Yeah, and it's just getting to the point where they're doing so many launches you don't even know they're doing them.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong.
Not news anymore. Yeah.
Charlie, you probably could be you could probably chime in on this. And that is, don't you think that what's happening now with SpaceX is that, with NASA, is that they just are trying to keep the organization going. You know, they really have nothing to contribute. You know, I mean, isn't SpaceX starting to do all the heavy lifting even with NASA?
Except for the unmanned probes to other planets.
Yeah.
That's basically just NASA.
Right. And
you're right about Earth orbit and stuff like that. That's all. NASA's pretty much giving that up.
Oh, they've sent it. Actually, what they did is they saved our ass because the Russians didn't want to take us up there anymore. Mm-hmm. So how are we going to get to the space station? Walk? You know? I mean, no. So, I mean, they had to have some way to get up to the space station, and SpaceX gave it to them. You want to go up tomorrow? We got a rocket ready. Don't worry. We can get you there. You know? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's what's happened. So, anyway, I was so sad about the whole space thing for years. Mm-hmm. You know, I wrote a story a long time ago, just a little short story about a bunch of people, about us going and landing on the moon, and when we got there, we found the remnants of what was a spaceship. And then it turns out this thing's happening 1,000 years ahead from now. And the question was, why didn't we ever go back? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a great little story, but, you know, it kind of was almost the truth. Why didn't we ever go back? You know? I was amazed. What?
Some of those people believe that we never went to the moon. There was like those self-doubt.
Oh, yeah. No, amazingly enough, we did. And what we did to get there, I mean, it was all spit and string.
So you were lucky enough to see it on TV. That had to be a major event.
What?
Right when they landed and they walked the moon. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, we never had a moment like that.
People never, I'll tell you what happened. And then we got about another minute. People never truly realized what that moment meant. That for the first time in the history of mankind, we had left this planet and gone to another orb. And that was pretty amazing. Think about the historic quality of that. And nobody realized the significance of it, even when it happened. Am I right, Charlie? It is,
one or two people in the whole world, yep.
Huh?
The one or two people in the whole world realized it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, nobody realizes significance. I mean, when we write the history of mankind, the day we went to the moon is going to be one of those significant minutes, or moments, or hours, or whatever.
Crazy feeling.
And they got them there in this, was essentially a tin can.
Yep.
You know, so. Anyway. Hey, listen, we're running close to the end of the program. In fact, I could probably start the theme going here. You guys have been wonderful because nobody called tonight except you, and we've had a really nice time. You know, thank you.
Quick.
Huh?
Went by quick.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. We appreciate it. Thank you, Alex. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you to Tony, and thanks to Charlie Wallace, who is our scientific. You're our news. We should just make you the new science guy on the show, and you know we can build you up like the guys over here at our planetarium. You know. So anyway, that's it. Okay. See you all, I guess, tomorrow night, huh? Everybody wave goodbye, and I'll wave goodbye at you. There they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight. And listen, we're out of here now, but Jack Bishop is next over most of the same station. He'll be doing the what do you call it? The intersection. He'll be taking your calls over there at let's see here. They'll be taking your calls at on Skype at Gabnet Live. Okay? All right. That's it for tonight, folks. I'm Alex Bennett. Have yourself a very nice evening, the rest of the evening. And then we'll see you again right back here tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody.